Hello, and today we're going to be making Belgian buttermilk waffles. First off, we're going to start with some flour. Just to preface right away, I'm halving this recipe because I don't want too many waffles because it's going to be me and one other person eating them. So we start off with very precisely leveling 1 cup of flour. I don't have the recipe in front of me, so it's going to be challenging to remember exactly. But I think it was only 1 cup. Yeah, 1 cup of flour. If you want the actual recipe, do 2 cups of flour. Then get 3 tablespoons of sugar. That was 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of sugar for the original recipe. That is 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then I believe half a teaspoon of baking soda. We then do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're going to whisk that all together lightly in our large bowl. After we finish whisking it all together nice and neatly, getting everything spread out nice and even, we're going to put it to the side and get started on our wet ingredients. I'm just going to wipe off the counter a little bit before we continue. We're then going to grab our medium bowl and start with our buttermilk. Now you can get regular buttermilk, but I find buttermilk powder lasts longer, so we're going to do 4 tablespoons of the buttermilk powder in our bowl. You can get buttermilk powder from Bulk Barn. I'm sure you can buy it at the store, but Bulk Barn's just the easiest. And then we're going to add that with 1 cup of just plain tap water. It isn't going to look pretty, but you're going to whisk it all together and it's going to look like just a regular kind of milk kind of look, nothing too crazy. And I'm going to add that into our medium bowl. I just did the buttermilk separately, just for in case. I'm not really sure. We're then moving on to our butter. We need 2.5 tablespoons plus a half teaspoon. For me, my butter was way too hard here and I couldn't cut into it at all, so I put it on a dish and softened it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Came back and I was able to cut through enough that I could work with it. The butter was still quite hard, but I didn't want to risk melting it because I didn't need this much butter and I still wanted to reuse it. So I just played with a knife, trying to pack it down as much as possible and then leveling it. And we're going to put that into a separate bowl because this recipe you do need the butter you are using melted, but I didn't want to melt that whole block because it would just ruin the rest of the butter. For the regular recipe, you'd need 3/4, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was a 1/4 cup. No, it was 1/3 cup of butter. That's why I was getting confused. I was about to say 3/4 cups, but that's not right. You needed 1/3 cup. And 1/3 cup is 5 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon. And halving that, you get 2.5 tablespoons plus a 1/2 teaspoon. I got this from this chart we have on our fridge here. Makes life a lot easier. We then take our butter in our small bowl, take it to the microwave. And melt it for about 30 seconds to a minute. We're gonna add our butter to our buttermilk and then stir it all together nicely, getting everything combined. We're then gonna add in 1 egg. Again, doing the regular recipe, you need 2 eggs. We're gonna come back and do, I believe, can't remember how much vanilla that is. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna leave the dough and then I'm gonna leave the batter do my kneading and then make everything. I don't know.
Then gonna add our mixture into the wet ingredients and then stir that all together. I'm not sure when the video cuts off, but my phone did. The video cut off at one point because I needed to look some things up because I didn't have time to fully make the waffles on the day I made the batter. So I was researching, and you can cover it with plastic wrap and put it in the fridge and for up to about a week until you're ready to use. I just kept it for a day because I wasn't gonna wait that long. I was making these around 10 and I had a meeting at about 10:30, so I just needed to get it all clean. Here we are on day 2. The batter has been in the fridge and it hasn't solidified or like separated at all. It still looks perfectly fine. I've got our waffle maker ready. Here I forgot to spray it and put in way too much batter on the first one because it's been years since I've made waffles. But I still think they're gonna be okay. Through the process, they did spill out the sides, and I was really worried that they were gonna stick because the sides were sticking. But after using the spatula, they gently just came up, and they looked pretty good. I remembered to spray it this time and put in a lot less on this time, and let those close and cook up. I then started dicing up strawberries for a strawberry topping on my waffles because I think big strawberry chunks are just inconvenient when eating waffles, so the nice little diced strawberries are really easy. For me, I knew I was only going to have one, 2, maybe 3 waffles, so I only cut up about 3 strawberries because that was going to be enough. And my brother over on the side there, he is having the first 2 waffles with a little bit of syrup and some whipped cream. then checked on the waffles once the light went off and said that they were done. And they didn't look done, they looked quite underdone, so I'm not really sure how our waffle works. I then cut up 3 strawberries for my brother because he was still hungry, because I'm a nice sister. I then left the waffles on for even longer, transferred the diced strawberries onto my plate, and as well as a handful of blueberries after I took the cutting board to the sink. Checked on the waffles again. I still thought they weren't done enough and thought they'd be soft on the inside. Here's when I said good enough. I'd still like them done more, but they work. I gave one to him, one to me, and then used the last of my batter, which made they were pretty thin but good enough waffles. While letting them cook, I assembled my own waffle to eat. After a second, I start with a bit of syrup, mix of strawberry and blueberry, and top with a little bit of whipped cream. Looks perfect. Grabbed a fork and knife because I eat like a lady. I say these waffles were really good. They were very, very light and fluffy. They would probably be better if you had probably like a bigger waffle maker and other stuff, because mine are quite small, but I think that works for me. I really like the taste, and they mix well with all the toppings. The buttermilk really adds a nice hint of sweetness to the waffles. After I finished mine, I checked on these waffles, and they looked pretty okay. So I put the 2 on my plate, unplugged the waffle iron, and set it aside open to cool. And then did the same thing. Start with a drizzle of syrup, strawberries, and blueberry topping, and topped with a little bit of whipped cream, but not overpowering with the whipped cream.
You're going to have to use like taste, texture, smell, that kind of stuff.
I think my waffles look very aesthetically pleasing. I cut the video here because I didn't want a montage of just me eating, but like I said, the waffles were really fluffy, very nice. I enjoyed eating and making them. The dishes weren't too hard, and both my mom and brother approve. Thank you for watching my waffle baking. Have a great day.